Hi, my name is Sarah Jacobson. I'm a full-time student at Boston University's College of Arts and Sciences, studying psychology. I'm currently finishing up my junior year with a semester abroad in London, where I'm continuing my studies in psychology and working as an intern at the family unit of Castle Hospital. My friends would definitely describe me as someone who's self-motivated and hardworking, because I'm very goal-oriented and I put in a lot of time into my classes. I also think that they would describe me as someone who's compassionate, understanding, relatable, and very down to earth, with a sense of humor that shows up frequently in my interactions with people. I'm from a suburb right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. Though Cleveland is not the flashiest city, the area I'm from is incredibly community and family based, a place that emphasizes values such as getting a good education. My enormous family all resides within a 5-mile radius, which surprisingly isn't all that uncommon among families in my city. I think this might be attributed to the fact that the city doesn't have much of a transient population. Its stable and grounded environment lends itself to being the perfect places for families to settle in. It's very multi-generational, and everyone seems to know each other, which makes the city feel much smaller than it actually is. Around the time our country entered the industrial age, up until around the 1950s or so, the city of Cleveland was booming, establishing itself as a factory town with steel mills and auto industries. The growth was made possible in large part by the migration of peoples of a variety of origins. Eastern European, Hispanic, and many other types of diverse communities were established all around the city. This unique international population still exists today, which is something people don't really know about the city. And growing up with a lot of diversity has contributed greatly to my lifelong interest and appreciation for other cultures. I want to live in a place like Cleveland, if not Cleveland itself, when I'm older, to give my own kids an upbringing in a setting based on community and family that provided the same support and stability I was fortunate enough to have myself. Although I'm not entirely certain where I will end up professionally, I have always kept one thing in mind when considering career goals. I want to help people. I've considered several paths that will allow me to fulfill this goal. However, my interest in the mental health field has been consistent over the years. As a psychology major, I have learned a great deal about human development and behavior. I want to help and connect with people on an individual level. I've been truly inspired by my current internship at the hospital, which offers a therapeutic community setting to parents who are trying to break their cycles of neglect and abuse in order to reintegrate themselves and their families into social networks, work, and education. After having seen progress made with patients, I'm more convinced that a career in therapy, or maybe social work, might be the perfect fit for me. Looking back into my own experiences, there are several things that I consider as vital pieces of information to tell high school students preparing for college. Freshman year is tough. I think high school students, especially in their senior year of high school, get so caught up in the excitement of leaving for college that they forget to prepare themselves for an often anxiety-producing reality tied to making such a huge transition. It's easy to become overwhelmed, discouraged, and lonely upon arrival. It's important to prepare yourself for what could be a rocky adjustment period, and it'll take time and patience, but everyone eventually establishes their niche. I also think it's necessary to tell rising high school students that it's normal not to know what to major in right away, even though it might seem like everyone else has their life plan figured out. For those who do not know what they want to do, I would encourage them to keep their options open, because classes and involvement in on-campus activities could very easily introduce you to interests you never knew you had. Explore different areas and give yourself leeway to pursue interests rather than just pursuing a major track. I would say that the biggest difference between high school and college expectations is in the extent to which you become more independent and responsible. On a social level, this expectation lies in part in your ability to leave your comfort zone. You are no longer with the same friends you've grown up with, and in order to find your place in a new community, you have to push yourself to meet people. You're presented with a lot more choices in terms of how you'll manage relationships, and presented with more temptation in terms of making right decisions when managing your time. There's absolutely a way to balance your academics with having fun, but you still have to learn how to spend your time wisely throughout the day, especially since your days aren't taken up with a full class schedule like they were in high school. Your parents aren't there to make sure you get to school on time each day, to make sure you have enough clean laundry for the week, and that you're doing your homework each night. You're expected to structure your own educational experience, and the success you have with it depends entirely on your own motivation to be there and to work hard. The teachers who I appreciated the most in high school, who best prepared me for college, were the teachers that did encourage critical thinking when interpreting texts and various concepts from the class. I was especially inspired by the teachers who provoked my curiosity and sparked my analysis through less conventional creative teaching methods. It was easy in high school to form relationships with teachers. It's important to understand that in order to get help or form any sort of relationship with professors, it's necessary to take initiative. You could easily be in a lecture with hundreds of other students, especially your freshman year. Ask questions and seek out professors during office hours, which they hold several times a week, because it's up to you to fully understand the material before you have a test. It's also a good way to show your professors that you do work hard and you do take an interest in their class. It's also important to remember that you'll have far less assignments for each class, so percentage-wise, each paper or test will be worth more towards your grade. As a college student, though, it is important to keep in mind that the bar is set higher in college, and professors expect far more critical thinking and analysis in students' work. My high school was pretty small for a public high school, a little less than 200 per grade. I was fairly involved in activities. I challenged my complete lack of athletic prowess playing field hockey for several years, and participated in clubs like Israeli Culture Club, National Honor Society, and Model UN. Although I was fairly involved in high school, the experiences that made the most impact on me were in the summers between my high school years. I attended an international camp in Sarvash, Hungary the summer before my junior year. I quickly became friends with teenagers from all over Eastern Europe, such as Serbia, Hungary, Russia, Romania, and Poland, some of which I still keep in touch with. I was fascinated. The summer before my senior year, I went to Israel on a 7-week trip that largely focused on community service and development. I continued building relationships with people from there as I traveled with not only other Americans, but people from Israel and Ethiopia. I discovered through those two experiences that I developed an even greater passion for understanding people and their cultures than I had before. And I think this interest carries over to my decision to pursue a degree in something that's so involved in helping people from diverse backgrounds. My parents had always encouraged me and my brothers to see college as a place where we could not only have the privilege to learn about topics of interest, but as a place where we could learn about social maturity, be exposed to diversity, and discover how to grow and evolve. For students who are trying to decide where to go to college, I would say be open to some place that you can imagine yourself thriving, not necessarily somewhere you feel comfortable. Take into account that it is a dramatic experience and that it's likely you won't be the same exact person that entered the university 4 years earlier. You should feel stimulated, grow, and evolve at the school you choose. I also think diversity is an integral part of one's education, and that's important to find a school that has like-minded people there to help you ease into the transition, but enough diversity so that you can learn from people who grew up with completely different backgrounds. I would advise those who believe college is out of their financial range and question whether or not it's worth taking out a loan to really check out all their options before opting against a continuing education. It might take some time to research, but schools all over the nation offer financial assistance plans. And as trite as it might sound, I truly believe education is the key tool to progression in your life, and it's important to arm yourself with as much education as you can, especially since demands for higher education have increased in the professional world. A K-12 education develops fundamental building blocks for gaining knowledge, but continuing your education could change the entire course of your life. A college education undoubtedly helps you become more open-minded in making informed decisions about your own life and the world around you.